Hi, I'm Christian. Welcome back to another On the Road video brought to you by ApplianceVideo.com. Stop. Before beginning any repair, always be sure to disconnect the power to the appliance. It is also recommended to test the outlet for proper voltage. Remember to also turn off the water. Today we're working on a Viking built-in dishwasher. What we're going to be doing on the dishwasher is Viking has a new service kit to replace the flow-through heater and the harness. So that's what we're going to be doing today. The tools you will need to complete this repair are a flat blade screwdriver, a pair of pliers, an adjustable wrench, a T20 screwdriver, or a T20 drill bit incorporated with the drill. So the first step to do once we uninstall the dishwasher and tip it back on its back is to remove the toe kick here. To do so, you want to go ahead and slide up on the toe kick and then lift off. Be careful because there are two wires coming to this toe kick to an LED light that just lets the user know when the cycle is finished. So to remove the wire harness, it's a Molex connector. We just depress in on the clip and remove just like that. Now that we have it tipped over on the back, there's the base of the unit here. As you can see, there's two legs up front and then one at the back. What is securing this base to the actual chassis of the unit is four T20 screws. There's two on each side, one at each corner. So we're gonna go ahead and remove the screws. So once we remove the base pan and we remove the base pan from the legs, you can see once we open it that there is some sort of component down at the bottom. It's a moisture sensor. There's two wires going to it on a Molex connector. So we want to depress the Molex clip in and then lift straight out on the actual connection, just like that. Now we could set the base pan aside. So the next step that you want to do once you have the bottom base pan removed is you want to check which actual control board that is installed on the unit before you go any further for this repair. The instructions will tell you what to look for. So you either want to make sure you have an arcless board or an ELAM board. Usually the name of the actual board will be on the actual one of the relays. So this one actually has the ELAM board, which is fine. So we're going to proceed along with the repair. So the next step is to replace the actual heater, the flow-through heater. The flow-through heater is this component right here. So the first thing we want to do is remove the actual heater and then remove the wire harness. So to do so, you can see that there are two spring clamps that are clamping the actual heater in place. So we want to remove these clamps. I'm going to start with the bottom. It looks like I have a little more room. Be careful, there may be some residual water left in the lines, so that's why I do have a little towel there to soak up any water. So. Using a little screwdriver, I'm just gonna break the actual seal. It looks like it has a really good seal on the heater. That way we can remove the hose. Just like that. So now that I have the bottom one removed, I'm going to head to the top one. Gotta break that seal. So I'm just gonna stick my screwdriver in there lightly. You can see it's starting to come out. Do that for the other side. There you go. So now I have my heater in my hand. What I'm gonna do next is go ahead and remove the 120 in, which is these two wires in the Molex connector. Looks like it just pulls straight out. And then the ground wire, that one is a spade connector. It just pulls straight out as well. Now I'm gonna set the heater aside. The next step to do before we install the flow-through heater is to install this thermal shield. And it's positioned to go right here. So the back side is adhesive, the front side looks like foil. So they're calling it a thermal shield. So I'm gonna remove the backing on it and start lining it up. Once it's lined up, I'm just gonna push down on it, and I guess this is gonna protect this specific spot from any heat from the heater. And just like that. Once we've installed the first thermal shield, we can install the second one. I'm just gonna remove the backing of the tape and start lining it up. So the second one is gonna go almost in the same position. Lining it up, and then I'm gonna push the tape on. Just like that. The next step is to replace the actual water line to the dishwasher. This dishwasher has already had the 450 retro kit installed. That's why there's the upgraded control board and the upgraded wire harness. The water valve has also been replaced already. So it's saying not to replace the water valve. We're going to replace the water line though. So to do so, I'm going to unmount the water valve. There's a T20 screw holding the water valve in place. So I'm gonna remove that, pull the water valve out a little bit. That way I can at least get to the connection here. That's all I wanted to do. So once I could see the connection, I'm gonna use an adjustable wrench and remove the actual connection. Looks like I got it loose enough to where I can unscrew it by hand. No. And now I have it disconnected. I'm gonna feed the water line through the opening down at the bottom. Here's the old one. Here's the old one in my hands. I'm gonna set this one aside. Here's the new one. I will go ahead and wipe up the water down at the bottom first. Next, I'm gonna feed the new water line, one end, through that opening at the bottom. That way I could secure it to the water valve. So before we install the actual new water line to the water valve, I'm just gonna install some Teflon tape on the fitting. Looks like it was not done originally. I just want to be safe. Just like that. And I'm just pushing down on the tape so it can get in the grooves. So once the tape's installed, we can go ahead and install the new water line to the fill valve. So I'm just gonna start it by hand. And once it gets hard to turn, I will go ahead and use the adjustable wrench. You don't want to over tighten it. So it looks like I'm gonna do one more turn and I'll be done. There you go. So once the new fill line's been installed, we can go ahead and remount the water valve with the T20 screw we removed earlier. So I'm gonna go ahead and position the water line. And reattach, resecure with the screw. Just like that. The next step, or the final step to do on the actual repair before we start putting the unit back together, is to install the actual heater. So to do so, what I'm going to do is I am going to line up the heater. I'm gonna put the bottom hose on first, flex it down, and then put the top hose on just by sliding it on. As you can see, I still have my hose clamp, or my clamp pliers on the actual clamp. Now that it's on secure, I'm gonna line up the clamp, bring it down, and release it. Just like that. I'm gonna do the same for the bottom. Line it up, bring up the clamp, and release it. Next step, I'm gonna install the wires. So the white and black wire is the power in. There's only one way it can go on. If you try to reverse it, like I just did, as you can see, it's not going on. So you have to put it on the correct way. It's key to go on only one way. So once you have it lined up, push it in, and that's good. And then you also want to reinstall the actual ground wire. And there's a spade connector right next to it. You push it straight on, just like that. The next step, since we have everything underneath installed that was supposed to be installed, is to install the base pan again. So to do so, I'm gonna grab the pan and bring it up. And don't forget to reconnect the Molex connector for the moisture sensor. And reconnect the moisture sensor. There's only one way that this Molex connector can go on. So you just line it up the correct way and push it straight on. Now be careful because the component that it's clipping onto is very small and it looks very brittle. You don't want to break it. So once that's been connected, we can go ahead and put the stems for the legs in the open available slots. Once they are, this one can be difficult. You might have to wiggle the legs and play with it a little bit. But once the top 3 pegs are in place, you want to go ahead and line up the top legs first. Be careful, you don't want to break them. So as you can see, once they're lined up, it's going to go on pretty easy. Just finishing lining up the unit. So once the base pan is all lined up, we can go ahead and re-secure the base pan with the 4 T20 screws we removed earlier. So I'm just gonna start on the left-hand side. Just like that. The second to last step to do is, since we have the base panel installed, is to reinstall the toe kick. So to do so, again, remember the Molex connector we removed earlier. To install the Molex back on, it's key to fit only one way. So you just line it up and press right in, just like that. So now we're gonna go ahead and install the actual toe kick. To do so, you're gonna line it up pretty far up until the slots are in the grooves, and then slide it straight down, just like that. So once we reinstall the dishwasher, we can go ahead and hide the wires. Sometimes they'll stick out like that. So once you have reinstalled the dishwasher, reconnected the water line, checked for leaks, reconnected the drain hose, we can go ahead and test the operation of the unit, and this will complete your repair. Thank you for watching another quality in-home repair video brought to you by ApplianceVideo.com.